Okay, class, picking up where we left off at, we are about to go over the multiplication and division of fractions. Okay, so just like we did before, I'm going to go straight to the problem and then we're going to go over the different rules for multiplying and dividing fractions, whether they be proper and improper fractions or whether or not they be mixed numbers. So we're about to start with problem number one. We have 2/3 times 1/4. Now, with multiplication, you do not need a common denominator. What you would do is multiply the top times top, bottom times bottom, or as we say, numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. So 2 times 1 is 2, 3 times 4 is 12. Now we see if we could simplify. 2 and 12 has 2 in common. We divide both by 2, and that would give us 1/6. Now remember, from when we first learned about fractions, from now on, we always simplify if we can. Only time we don't simplify is when the directions ask us not to. So it's assumed to simplify it every time. Okay, next, we're going to do problem number 3. So we will have 2/3 times 21. Now, in order to multiply fractions, remember up here we did top times top, bottom times bottom. So what we would do, we would make this whole number into a fraction. So this would be 2/3 will remain 2/3 times. Anytime you have a whole number, you put that over 1, and that makes it into a fraction. So now we multiply top times top. 2 times 21 is 42. And then bottom times bottom, 3 times 1 is 3. Now, we notice this is an improper fraction, so we'll divide 3 into 42. 3 goes into 4 once. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. Bring down our 2. 3 goes into 12 4 times. 4 times 3 is 12. No remainder. So our final answer here is just 14. Okay, next. Now we covered a regular fraction. We covered a fraction times a whole number. Now we're going to do a fraction times a mixed number. So we're going to do problem number 2 next. Now I know I'm going out of order, but I would prefer to do it this way so we could build on it. So we will have 1 5/6 times 1/2. Now, just like the whole number here, we have to make this mixed number into a fraction. You never multiply mixed numbers. You always change them to improper fractions. So we know changing this mixed number to an improper fraction goes like this. Our denominator will remain the same. Our numerator, we would take the whole number times the denominator, which is 1 times 6, and add the numerator plus 5. And we know that'll be times 1/2. So 1 times 6 is 6 plus 5 over 6 times 1/2. 6 plus 5 is 11 over 6 times 1/2. So we multiply. 11 times 1 is 11. 6 times 2 is 12. So our final answer here is 11/12. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is a mixed number times a mixed number. So if we look at number 7, now we have 2 1/3 times 3 2/5. Now, we need to change these mixed numbers to improper fractions. So I'm going to show it again. Now, I would tell you this would be my last time showing the extended way of doing a mixed number to an improper fraction. So pay close attention. So our denominators will remain the same, but our numerator, we'll take the whole number times the denominator plus the numerator, whole number times the denominator plus the numerator. So this would give us 6 plus 1 over 3 times 15 plus 2 over 5. So this would give us 7 over 3 times 17 over 5. Now, 7 times 17 is 119, and 3 times 5 is 15. Now, 119 and 15 has nothing in common. So what we would do now is we would divide it out because we have an improper fraction. So 15 goes into 1 0 times, 15 goes into 11 0 times, 15 goes into 119, that to be 7 times. 7 times 5 is 35, carry a 3. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 3 is 10. So 119 minus 105 is 14. So you have a remainder of 14. So our final answer, we have our whole number 7, the number before the remainder. Our denominator would stay 15. And then our remainder is our new numerator. And that is our final answer for number 7. Okay, next, we go on to problem number, we're going to do division next. Let's go with problem number 10. Problem 10, we have 7/8 divided by 1/16. Now, when you have a division of fractions, this is how it goes. And I'm going to do this vertically because it's a little easier than doing it horizontal. So, when you have your two fractions, your first fraction stays the same. So 7/8 remains 7/8. Your division symbol now becomes multiplication. And then last but not least, that second fraction, you take the reciprocal or you just flip it. So whatever that second fraction is, you flip it. 1 over 16 becomes 16 over 1. Now we multiply 7 times 16. 7 times 6 is 42, carry a 4. 7 times 1 is 7 plus 4 is 11. All over 8 times 1 is 8. Now you have 112 divided by 8. You notice both of these are even, so you could divide both by 2. 2 goes into 112 56 times. 2 goes into 8 4 times. So now we can still divide this by 2 because they're still even. 56 divided by 2 is 28. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And we know 28 divided by 2 will just give us 14. So we don't have to keep dividing by 2 when we know what the answer is. So this is 14. Okay, now, this was a fraction divided by a fraction. So then now we're going to take a whole number and a fraction. Let's look at problem number 12. So we have 12 divided by 1/4. Now my suggestion before you do anything is to change everything into some form of fraction, either improper fraction or proper fraction. So we will make this 12 over 1. Okay, now we'll do this the same way we did number 10. First fraction remains the same. Division becomes multiplication. The second fraction, you have to flip it or do the reciprocal as it's called. So that'll be 4 over 1. 12 times 4 is 48. 1 times 1 is 1. 48 divided by 1 is just 48. Okay, now, the next thing we're going to do, and they don't show this as an example here, so I'm going to have to give you this as an example. I'm going to redo a problem like number 12, but this time I'm going to put the fraction first, divided by the whole number. And this is important to know. So again, I say first make sure everything is a fraction. So we have 1/4 divided by 12 over 1. Now we'll keep that first value the same. That'll be 1/4. The division becomes multiplication. And 12 over 1, you take the reciprocal or flip it, that becomes 1 over 12. So now we multiply across. 1 times 1 is 1, and 4 times 12 is 48. So that is your final answer, 1 over 48. Now, our next problem we're going to do, we did a fraction divided by a fraction. We did a whole number divided by a fraction. We did a fraction divided by a whole number. Now we're going to do two mixed numbers divided by each other. So, well, or we could do, yeah, let's do two mixed numbers divided by each other. Let's do problem number 14. Problem 14, we had 3 3/4 divided by 1 2/3. The first thing we have to do is change these mixed numbers to improper fractions. So we would do this. Our denominator will remain the same. So we say 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 is 15. 1 times 3 is 3, plus 2 is 5. Now remember, back in problem number 7, I said that was the last time I was going to show all of the steps to change the mixed numbers to improper fractions. If you need a refresher, you can rewind this and go back to problem number 7. Okay, now we'll keep the first fraction the same. Division becomes multiplication, and we would take the reciprocal of the second fraction or flip the second fraction. So now 15 times 3 is 45. 4 times 5 is 20. Now 45 and 20 both has 5 in common. So we'll divide the top and bottom by 5. This will give us 9 over 4. But if you notice here, we still have an improper fraction. So we have to divide this to get a mixed number. So 4 goes into 9 twice. So we have 9 minus 8 is 1. So we have a remainder of 1. So our final answer, the whole number will be 2. Our denominator will remain the same, and our numerator will be 1, which is our remainder. So 14 is 2 and 1/4. So basically, we covered just about every scenario of these type of problems, but I'm going to do 17 because that's a larger mixed number divided by a larger mixed number. So I'll do 17, and then we'll move on to the word problem. So we have 40 and 3/8 divided by 4 and 1/4. So we change these to improper fractions. 40 times 8 is 320 plus 3 is 323 over 8 divided by 4 times 4 is 16 plus 1 is 17. Denominator remains 4. So now we keep the first fraction the same, 323 over 8. Division becomes multiplication. And then we flip or take the reciprocal of the second fraction. So that's 4 over 17. Now we multiply straight across. Let's do 8 times 17 first. 8 times 7 is 56. Carry our 5. 8 times 1 is 8 plus the 5 is 136. So our denominator is 136. Now we multiply our numerator. 4 times 3 is 12. We'll carry our 1. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. And 4 times 3 is 12. So it's 1,292 over 136. Now, we could divide both of these by 2 because both of them are even. Let's make this a little smaller. This would be 646 divided by 136 divided by 2 is 68. Now we could divide both of these by 2. Now 68 divided by 2 is 34. 2 goes into 6, 46. That'll be 323. So 323 divided by 34. So now that we see this, we could take 34 into 323. 34 does not go into 32 evenly. but 34 goes into 323. I would say let's try 9 times. 9 times 4 is 36. Carry a 3. 9 times 3 is 27 plus 3 is 30. So 323 minus 306 is 17. So we add 9, remainder 17. So our final answer would be 9. Our denominator would be 34, but our numerator would be 17. But we know 17 and 34 has 17 in common. So we need to simplify this fraction more. So we'll divide the top and bottom by 17. Okay, so don't forget to carry over your whole number. 17 divided by 17 is 1. 34 divided by 17 is 2. So it's 9.5. Okay, so of course this was longer than the other problems, but I'm glad that we did it. All right, now we move on to some of these story problems. So we go here to B. It says choose the one best answer to each question. Okay, let's take a look at problem 19. A city is considering raising taxes to build a football stadium. A survey of registered voters yielded the following results. You see this survey here. If 400 people were surveyed, how many support the tax hike? Okay, so we'll see the ones that support the tax hike is the one that says for tax hike. So we would take, let me see, this is problem 19. We would take the 400 and multiply it by the tax hike, which is 3 over 16. So we know we will make this 400 to be 400 over 1 times 3 over 16. So we'll say 400 times 3, which is 1200. And then we will divide that by 1 times 16, which is 16. Now, we're trying to find out how many actually approve this. So we could divide both of these by 4. 1200 divided by 4 is 300. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Now, 300 divided by 4, well, we could divide both of these by 2. So this would be 150 over 2. 150 over 2, we could divide both of these by 2. This will give you 75 over 1, which is just 75. So our answer here would be B. So 75, which would be B. Now, we look here, problem number, let's look at 20. It says a tailor has 20 yards of shirt fabric. How many shirts can she complete if each shirt requires 2 3/4 yards of fabric? So this is the division. We have 20 yards, and we're going to divide how much one shirt takes, 2 3/4. Now, one thing they stress here is the word complete. That means that if we have a fraction left over with our answer, we will only take the whole number because we want complete shirts. We're not doing rounding here. We're just doing whatever the whole number is. That's how many complete shirts you would get. So first thing, we will make this 20 over 1 divided by, and we will change this mixed number to an improper fraction, which will give us 11 over 4. First fraction stays the same. Division becomes multiplication, and we'll take the reciprocal of the second fraction to be 4 over 11. So now we multiply. 20 times 4 is 80, and 1 times 11 is 11. Now we would take 11 into 80. 11 goes into 80 7 times. 7 times 11 is 77. 80 minus 77 is 3. So we have a remainder of 3. So our fraction or our mixed number would be 7 3/11. But they didn't ask us to put this as a mixed number. They want us to know how many completed shirts. There's 7 completed shirts. So the answer here would be 7, which is B. Because you can't have 3/11 of a shirt. They want completed shirts. Okay, so the last one that I want to do is problem 22. It says the fluorescent lighting panel is 12 and 5/8 inches wide. If three of the panels are installed as shown below, what will be the width in inches of the combined panels? Now, since they gave us all three figures, we could just add them all together. But since we know multiplication is just repeated addition, we could just take this 12 and 5/8 and multiply it by 3. Now, so we need to change this 12 and 5/8. So we will make this into an improper fraction. This would be 101 over 8 times, this would be 3 over 1. Changing that whole number to a fraction and changing that mixed number to a fraction. Now we multiply across. 101 times 3 is 303, and 8 times 1 is 8. Now we would take 8 into 303 because they have nothing in common. 8 doesn't go into 3, but 8 goes into 33 times. 3 times 8 is 24. 30 minus 24 is 6. Bring down your 3. 8 goes into 63 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. 63 minus 56 is 7. And you could show that by subtraction. You know, you'll borrow 1 from the 6, make that 5. The 3 would become 13. And 13 minus 6 is 7. 5 minus 5 is 0. So we have a remainder of 7. So our answer here would be 37, which would be your whole number. Your denominator will remain 8, and your numerator is the remainder. So it's 37 and 7/8, which is C. So that is your final answer for this problem. And I will upload the second part of the fraction lesson to YouTube. Have a wonderful day.